Hamas is condemning the Palestinian Authority for targeting its fighters across the West Bank. This comes after the killing of at least one major Hamas leader within the course of the last couple of days. And for the last 6 days, the PA security forces have really been targeting both Hamas and Islamic Jihad militants in Jenin, more specifically, in a crackdown that the terror groups say cross religious, national, and familial lines. Well, joining us now is Fatah activist Sinijlawi, the chairman of the Jerusalem Development Fund. Samir, explain what is going on here. Why is the PA targeting Hamas and PIJ fighters in Jenin right now?
Well, what's happening there is total chaos. Every day we see more and more the PA losing control. I don't see that this is a signal of strength, that the PA is targeting and shooting at people who are related to Hamas or Jihad. This is a show of weakness. If there was a strong institution there, strong law enforcement, they could have captured these people and took them to court instead of extrajudicial executions like these. Me as a Palestinian, I'm very worried. Even if somebody was attributed to acts of terror, he should have the right to go to court. This is how me as a Palestinian would like to see a system that is functioning, that is giving people the basic right to defend themselves. And then if a court finds him guilty, it applies the law. Unfortunately, in a way or another, the PA, I would like to see the PA treating the Palestinians the way the Israeli army is treating the settlers in the West Bank. Currently, they are treating the Palestinians the way the Israeli army is treating Palestinians, with some kind of military rules. And this is something that does not satisfy me. I'm not an advocate of Hamas, but I am an advocate of rights of Palestinians. I'm an advocate of Palestinians deserving to have institutions that applies law, that has check and balances, accountability. So everything is not existing there. The PA is getting weaker and weaker. I think that these days are similar to the last days of Assad. Nobody has pretended or nobody has predicted that Assad regime will dissolve like this overnight. It was a quick end of this regime. And we have seen how Assad has left Syria in the middle of the night without even taking any of his allies. He ran away alone, and he left all his government, all his allies, all of his chief of staff. He left them alone and he didn't care. Abbas will do the same. At one moment, he will pack and leave to Jordan, and he will not care about who's leaving alone.
The question...
So these are similarities.
Yeah, Samina. Okay, so, I'm actually interested to hear what the Palestinian public is saying in response to this kind of targeting of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad fighters in Jenin on the part of the PA. Are we seeing support for the Palestinian Authority? Who do the Palestinians want to see leading the territories at this point?
Well, actually, this concrete incident resulted in a public resignation of senior officers in the PA security apparatus. Because, as I told you, Palestinians are not happy to see Palestinian blood on Palestinian hands. We should respect law, court system. You cannot take lives of people like dogs in the streets. And it's widening the gap, not only now between the public and the PA. The public always showed in the polls that 90% are requesting Abbas to resign and go and disappear from our lives. But now the gap is widening between people from within the security apparatus, that they started feeling the pressure of the society over them. They started feeling that they are not really serving the best interest of their people. They are serving the best interest of a leader. And the leader is not necessary now. The Palestinian people is something and Abbas something else.
So it seems, Samad, almost that you're suggesting, right, that this could embolden Palestinian public support for Hamas or the PIJ, even within the West Bank. Obviously, we've seen polls that show rising support for Hamas more specifically. But I guess the question is, how can we expect Israel to respond to these clashes, especially during a time when we have seen, Hamas and the PIJ potentially discussing ruling Gaza in a unity government post-war?
Well, let me tell you something. The more you go further away from the center of the war in Gaza, the more the support publicly, let us say, is with Hamas. In Gaza, I can say their support is almost zero. Okay, nobody on Gaza really cares about. They still fear the Hamas regime, but they don't support it. They are totally against it. People are blaming Hamas on the destruction that it brought upon them.
Right.
But at the same time, while there are people who are far away in the West Bank, they still show some support to Hamas. The support to Abbas in the West Bank is almost going to zero. I can tell you in general, the phenomena inside the Palestinian street is like the following. Palestinians are fed up from the destruction that Hamas brought upon them in the Gaza Strip, and they are fed up from the corruption that Abbas brought upon them in the West Bank. Palestinians would like to see a third way of construction, leadership that is more responsible, leadership that is accountable, transparent, leadership that is able to work with Israel to better the lives of the Palestinians and to provide Israelis with security. If we Palestinians cannot bring a Palestinian strategy that puts the Israeli security at its basis, not to do favor to the Israelis, but out of national interest, we will not be able to go anywhere with Israelis.
Right.
The Israelis, you cannot pressure them, not with violence in the street, not by mobilizing the world against them. The Israelis, you can persuade them. We need to touch the hearts and the minds of the Israelis to be able to move on towards an exit to this conflict. And this is something that the current leadership does not know.
Right.
They cannot realize. It needs a change of leadership in order that the relations, the dynamic of relations between Israelis and Palestinians change. We need to start change first. And then our changing will impact the Israeli possibly, and they will start trusting that maybe we should give another chance to Palestinians.